Hello, Jennifer. How are you? I can't hear you. What's going on? Why can't I hear you?
I'm here. I got it.
It was working a second ago.
I have a mute button on my microphone. I forgot to unmute.
Uh-oh.
I'm good. It's been a very kind of just week. It's been a catch-all week. You know?
I can't believe it's only Tuesday. Like, what the hell is going and it's going to be like Friday before we know it. I'm going to be like, what the hell happened? What did I even accomplish this week?
Wednesday and Thursday are going to not even exist.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't even know.
Yeah.
Yep. I owe you an interview? All right, I'll take your word for it. I mean, maybe I do. Well, guys, welcome to DISENRAGE. DISENRAGE is a little show that Jennifer and I do on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock where we don't talk about politics, except when we do. Kind of indirectly, as is the case tonight.
Yeah. We're mixing the spiritual with the physical tonight.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is a place for woo and all. Bro. If you want me to interview with you, that can probably be arranged, but you know what's not going to happen? You're not going to come and disrupt the one peaceful show I have all week with whining and complaining. It's not going to happen. This is about spirituality. This is about mindfulness. This is about meditation. This is about woo. This is about energy and chakras and crystals and tarot cards and all of the things. And I'm not getting into a fight on this show, asshole. You keep whining in my chat, and I promise you I will ignore you, and I will not feel bad about it because we're moving on now. We're moving on. Can we like energetically smudge whatever just happened? I don't have any Palos. Actually, do I have Palo Santo? I do have Palo Santo.
Oh, I'm burning some rose.
I thought I didn't, and then I did. I thought I didn't. Look at this. I'm gonna light something on fire.
Banish.
Go away. Only positive vibes allowed. Why isn't this catching on fire? Come on. Come on, stick. There we go.
Wow. Do you know I've never burned Palo Santo?
I love Palo Santo. I like it more than sage. I got really into it when I was in Peru, and then I just kept ordering it. There we go. No more nonsense. No more bitterness. No more people ruining our vibe. Right, Jennifer?
That's right. This is a place of peace and harmony.
It's a place of peace and setting things on fire and assassination attempts. Because we're going to be doing
fire.
We're going to be doing an Afterlife interview tonight. So you missed the first Afterlife interview that we did with Hitler while you were on vacation, but I think you got a chance to watch it, right?
I saw that video before, probably a year ago, and then I watched your video of it too. And I loved your takes on it. I was like, I wish I was there for that. It was so good. It was really great. And I love the neutrality demonstrated by the souls present.
Hey. You want to see disrespect? You just got banned in my chat. Go take your 300,000 Rumble subscribers and shove it up your ass. Stop ruining my peace. There we go. Sorry, Jennifer. I apologize. I will set this stick on fire again, God damn it. You think you can get me to do something? I have 300,000 subscribers on Rumble. Like, I give a shit.
Here's a little whimsy for us. Yay.
Yeah.
The little bee of joy.
See? You even interrupted the story about Hitler. Like, how rude.
As I was saying, the neutrality of the souls that are presented, and we're really, I think, represents well how spirits are on the other side. And I love this gal. I love her intention, and I love her the mediums that she has. They all seem pretty legit to me. You can tell sometimes when you get like a wonky medium because they seem a little flower and rainbows, and then sometimes they'll tell you just shit that they think you want to hear. And I have heard another medium interviewed. He apparently checked in with Hitler himself. And he was like, oh, he's in a really bad place. He's burning in 1,000 fires. So I'm like, you just mad. Yeah. So there's so much more to our journeys, both here and beyond, that we cannot put our emotional baggage from this life into the next, as we are here physically trying to think how they're going to be. We just want to suffer, or we want them to have all the wonderful joy things. It's so different over there. So I'm really looking forward to hearing how this kid is doing now that he has passed on, and I'm so curious because I know sometimes they don't always say everything, but then sometimes they say all the things. So I'm hoping we're going to learn some interesting stuff and that we have a good medium that's channeling this kid so that we get some great insight in his motivations. And
Yeah.
I hope they ask difficult questions too. I want
I
to
think
hear the hard stuff.
I think it's sometimes it's and I haven't watched these Afterlife interviews with her except for the Hitler one in like a long time, but I used to watch them like all the time. And it's kind of like my understanding that she used to not do Afterlife interviews with people like right after they died because it was still in that place where they were
Transition.
transitioning. They maybe even hadn't done their life review yet. And it was just like, and then it looks like she started more recently doing afterlife interviews with people who are recently deceased. So maybe she's gotten better at it. I don't know. But it's almost one of those things when you have more time. I mean, it's just like being a human being, right? You have more time to process and to understand and stuff
Well,
like
I
that.
think she herself does not channel, right? She has mediums that she works
Yes.
with. So, and I actually kind of love that she's catching this fresh because it's gonna that because that as we were just talking about that physical emotion that we carry on fades over time as we get
Mm,
the further away from the life, the more neutral. We still remember who we are, but we also can remember who we've been in other lives.
yep.
And this is so fresh. I think she maybe thought this was important enough to catch it while it's hot, kind of thing. And also clicks are good.
Yeah. She's been steadily growing her channel over. I think I found her channel probably almost 10 years ago. Honestly, it was a
Oh, wow.
long time ago that I found her channel. Maybe not. Maybe it was like 8 years, but it was something like that. But I'm excited. We're gonna go back to channeling Eric, and this is a two-part interview with Thomas Matthew Crooks. I would even I would love at some point, maybe we can even get her to come on and talk to us. And what I would really, because I mean she's like experienced so much and she just like she's got a really interesting perspective. I bet she would do it. And also I would secretly at some point like to find a medium and maybe we can even reach out to the mediums that she works with. I want to do a new channeling of Hitler. I really do. I have
Oh,
so many questions given my other show. I have
yes.
so many questions that I want to ask Hitler that I I would be in a really good position to do a good afterlife interview to ask like pointed questions about what really happened, Hitler? What really
Yeah.
happened?
Well, because when I think a lot of the questions people ask spirit is they do it in a way that has all the presuppositions from their incarnation that we've gotten through the media filter.
Yep.
And you're not getting that. You're not asking. They'll answer whatever, if they're comfortable with it, but we're not getting that raw and filtered different perspective. And if they say something that sounds different from what we'd expect, we just kind of write it off as like, oh, that's just how spirits are weird, and we don't really delve into, ooh, that's interesting. Why do you say that? We don't quite get into all that kind of thing.
Yep.
So
I forgot to post my notification that we're live in Telegram, so I'm posting it on there. But let's just dig right in. And guys, please make sure you mount the like button. People in the chat are saying notifications didn't go out for the stream. It makes why would they? Why would they? Why would my stream ever work the way it should, Jennifer?
I don't know.
But everyone please mount the like button for me. We can get some more people in here, or we can just enjoy with whoever shows up, and that's fine too. But let's dig into the afterlife interview of Thomas Matthew Crooks.
Hello, beautiful people. We have the wonderful Ginger Bailey, whose information is in the description box and will be on the screen. And we have my lovely boy, Eric Medhus, who is on the other side. It's going to help us navigate this, but it's going to be a very emotional.
So for people who don't know, this is the woman who runs the channel, Channeling Eric. Her name is Elisa Medhus. Just to give a brief recap for people who might be new, her son committed suicide like a long time ago, right? I think when he was around like 18, 19, 20, something like that. But she talks to her son through different mediums, and he kind of helps facilitate these conversations, and he gives advice and wisdom from the other side. And that's kind of like the role that he's taken on now on the other side is more of like a teacher and of like a facilitator and that sort of thing. Do I have a good summary of that, Jennifer?
Yes, you do. That sounds spot on to me.
And dark session, unfortunately. We're going to take another look at Thomas Crooks. This is probably going to be more than one YouTube people, but let me give you a little bit of data. If you guys have been living under a rock, Thomas Matthew Crooks, 2003 to 2024, was an American man who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, the former president of the U.S., and at that time, the presumptive Republican Party nominee. He hit Trump's ear and killed one attendee while critically injuring two others before being killed by the Secret Service counter sniper team. So, Eric, do we have Thomas with us?
He's here. He's been with me this morning. Okay. Yeah, he's here. He's here.
Thank you for coming back.
So he's saying thank you for having him here. Thank you for giving him a voice. Eric, first of all, Eric wants to say I love you. Eric's saying I love you, and he's also wants to say hi to everyone.
Of course, everyone does.
Yeah. And then Tom does too. He goes by Tom, I guess. Okay. He's saying Tom is what he goes by. He's saying a lot of people are very upset with me, as they should be.
Yeah.
There is some mental illness that, I'm sure there might be in the questions he's saying. There's probably questions about this. But it was like he's showing me tunnel vision. He got his mind on something, set on it, and it was just like a bullet.
Yeah.
Like no pun intended in a way, but he's like, it was like I was just in that direction. I didn't turn, like he didn't waver off of, his direction.
Were you paid for this? What are these 3 encrypted offshore accounts?
Jumping right into it. Holy shit. What about your bank accounts, bro?
Go for the throat.
Yeah.
So
this is one of the things I do enjoy about Elisa, because she's such a boomer, but she also doesn't take any shit.
That's kind of, I think the boomer gen really doesn't,
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
He wasn't paid. He's saying he wasn't paid by somebody to do this. He's saying no to that.
Well, what was encrypted accounts offshore? What's that all about?
Something he's showing me is his mind, the way his mind worked. It was very, very intelligent, beyond the average intelligence.
He was autistic.
He would get into things online, like conspiracy, I'm trying to see how he's explaining how he means this. It's like he was really into conspiracies, like the Kennedy assassination, things like that. And also on top of that, he liked mysterious, doing things that were mysterious. He would do certain things. But with the offshore accounts, what he's saying about this is this was something he was just checking out if it worked, checking out if it worked. It wasn't like there were hidden money, like he's trying to hide money. He's saying it wasn't like hidden money, but it was something that he was seeing if he could do it. Thank you. I was trying to get what he's saying. It's something he was seeing if he could do this, if this was something.
Bank accounts or social media accounts? Or something else?
He's saying there was a bank account. One was a bank account, but there were also social media. There was something with the social media, he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah. He had connections. He would go online and he would search. This was a big thing that he did. Yeah. He would search and just read about things, read about people who were assassins in the past, even far back in history.
Wow.
This was things that his mind would get on. He just keeps showing me his mind would get on something and it would just it didn't get off of it. It was just
he was autistic. He was fixated on it.
Sharp focus.
Do you have anything? Sorry, you have anything else?
Oh, just that they kind of will tend to go in different directions and then they'll hyper focus.
Yeah.
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 All right.
Yeah.
That you had explosives. And some of them were near a gas line. Did you have real nefarious plans to just blow up more than just the attempted assassination shot?
He says yes. He's not saying that he was going to do a gas line. No,
Oh.
it wasn't for the gas line. But he really didn't think he would make it out that day.
Okay.
He didn't think he was going to get away from this. This was before, he's saying, before he went in and did this. He was going to, let me say, there was too much security.
Oh,
His plan wasn't working out with the explosives. So,
okay.
because he was going to try to do a couple things that day, but the one thing he ended up doing was, the shooting. Yeah, the shooting. Something
Can you
that he's
imagine
saying
if
here
he?
is,
Hang on. Go ahead. Sorry.
Can you imagine if he'd caused an explosion?
That would hurt a lot of people. There are a lot of people there.
Oh my God! Because we had 3 or 4 people go to the hospital that day, 1 deceased and 2 or 3 critically injured. I mean, can you imagine if he managed to blow up that crowd? Oh my God! I'm glad he couldn't figure it out.
Maybe something prevented it, like divine intervention.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was just one of his targets. He had other ideas,
like
not that he
who?
was going to go off and start shooting people if he got away, but he's saying before Donald Trump, he wasn't the only one. He thought of other leaders, other people that were prominent, other prominent, even Biden. Okay, he considered all of these. He wanted to be, in his mind, he was wanting to be so what he says is being a loner. He was a big loner in life, didn't really socialize well. He talks about personality disorder, which from a spiritual point of view, he says he sees now was real, was a personality disorder. He had depression. Mm-hmm. He had something going on with his mind. He knew there was something wrong with his mind. He knew there was. Yeah. But what he's saying is, again, his mind would get on something and just roll with it. But he didn't want to live anymore, first of all. So it's almost like it was a suicide, too.
Yeah.
And so he knew that instead of.
Go ahead.
So I heard that they went through his internet searches and found that he was looking up several political figures, one of which was Biden. He was all over the place, just wanting to take everybody out. He was anti-Trump, but he wasn't just anti-Trump. He was anti-government or something like that. And this was the first opportunity that he found that was the most convenient for him to execute, kind of a thing.
Yeah, so it wasn't like Trump hatred. It was he wanted to do something that would send a message that would allow him an opportunity to go out in this blaze of glory, for lack of a better, to become this figure, iconic figure as an assassin. And not iconic and it's something to be revered, but you know what I'm saying?
I think this smacks a lot of the Columbine shooters. Of how they kind of wanted to just make a statement about how badass they were. And but for this particular guy, I think he was really interested in, he wanted to have some kind of big attention. And the only way he could do that to be significant was to do something horrific.
That's crazy.
Of just taking himself out, he wanted to go where he left, his name, where he was known.
He was Mark.
Yeah.
Did you get any influence from the deep state?
The deep state was involved more than he realizes. More than he realized when he was here. He knew there were people prodding him, he was online. Now, he wasn't very into social stuff, friends or anything like that, but he did go online into these he's showing me what do they call, Lisa, where the activists, or where you go on and you're talking about it,
So he was going on these websites where there were discussion forums and stuff like that, where the feds are on there trying to provoke people to do stuff, and he got provoked into doing it by the feds.
He got roped in. I've heard that this is not uncommon in some of the incel private chats and stuff like
Yeah.
that, where they try to encourage them to go into an extremist level stuff. But nobody like really thinks they're going to go do it. But this guy was just unstable enough to give it a shot. Sorry.
I've seen that. I've seen that on the chat, and in just like in doing the new show where people show up in the chat and they're like, "Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that?" And I'm like, ban, like, don't do that shit in my chat. No.
Yeah, they're fishing. They're looking for bites. They want to see who they can push over the edge and who they can manipulate.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. And we're all paying for this. Congratulations.
Things. I can't even think of what it's called. What is it called, Eric? I hate when I lose. Words are hard. Words are hard.
They are.
Yeah.
There's some group of people called glowies that profile vulnerable people online and try to.
There's this group of people called glowies.
Glowies?
Does she know what glowies means?
I don't know what
like
glowies means.
You glow like fed. It's fed. It's fed. It means you're fed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nudge them to do different things.
Yeah.
They are from the deep state. They're deep state.
That right there. That right there. But I was trying to get what sites he was talking about where they're the extremist, I guess is the word. Like extremist. Yeah. That's the word. Okay. Extremist. And it was interesting. What's weird is he's like showing me like where he's like almost two different people too.
Okay.
Yeah, like he would just go along in life and be the person that, people would see this person who is kind of just like normal, but kind of awkward, outlier or something. But he's like, then all of a sudden there's that other side of his mind. Like he wanted to be like that. He wanted to be normal. He wanted to be normal. Let's do the quotes, normal. But that was something that really ate at him too, was not being able to be, like normal the average person. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you mind controlled?
No. Oh, he goes, only me, my own, like my, like my, like where you feel like you're out of control, like your mind is overtaking you, that kind of thing, but not out. Okay. Nobody else was doing something to.
You know who I would love to see an Afterlife interview with? The Unabomber. I want to specially commission Jennifer. We need to find our own medium, or you need to learn how to become a medium or something, because I have so many people. Can we find our own medium to do all these Afterlife interviews?
I've spoken for Spirit on occasion, but I don't do the full on thing. But yeah, they're out there. They're expensive, but they're out there.
I think these mediums, like I heard, I actually had a reading one time from one of the mediums that used to do work with her, and she said they're all volunteer for her for this project, so she doesn't actually pay them for this.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I kind of love that too.
Yeah.
I think a medium should volunteer for us to channel Hitler and the Unabomber.
Let's manifest it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Eric, was there another shooter? There's one guy that came on the television that said that Tom just hit other things, but wasn't the one who did the ear.
No, there wasn't. I'm hearing he's saying no to that. Yeah.
Were you on psych meds at all? Any medication at all, really?
He said he should have been.
Okay.
But he should have been.
Okay.
No, he's saying no to that.
Were you set up to take the fall on this? I presume they're asking about the deep state.
In a sense, yes, he's saying. In a sense, yes. Okay. There wasn't like contact to where, they talked, he talked to somebody else about it. Yeah. Yeah. Where it was planned. It was just kind of, they got their eyes set on somebody who was very like into people watch what we look up. Okay. Things are watch what we look up online.
Oh, yeah.
He's saying. And when they see where your mind is going, and it's also kind of like he's saying like an AI in a way too. Like people watch it, but AI is the one who targets these things, targets the different things that you're looking at, that you're doing, and then it makes like assessments about you.
So no, this is not correct. This is all made up. Our belief system is older than your freaking Bible, bro. Chill out. No disrupting our peace. Anything you have to say about that, Jennifer?
I just said, bring it in. Nobody is wrong or right. We're omnious here. It's all cool, dude.
Jennifer is more spiritual than I am. I'm the type that's gonna hit you. Jennifer is a more evolved soul. I'm an Aries. I'm a young soul. I'm gonna hit you in the face and tell you no, and then Jennifer is gonna bring the calm.
That's right.
Cross did a mind probe, and in that there was one person, prominent person, that was said to order the hit. Maybe that meant not, okay, let me find the sniper, but maybe it was like, find somebody online, influence them, and make sure, because is that the case in the mind probe we're talking about?
Yeah, because it wasn't somebody who, went to him and said, okay, Tom, we're ordering the hit now, go for it. It wasn't like that. So, it was more like him working on his own. Like it was like he's working his own, but there was
influence.
Influence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Did someone swear influence you? Yes, that's right. Okay. Or was it mental illness? It was both, obviously. Did violent video games play any part? Oh, by the way, I found out yesterday that you searched for how long it was between the shooter and JFK and things like of that nature. So that was maybe that was what the AI and then the glowies picked up. So something
things like that. Like that he's saying because of his interest, the interest that he had in this, because you get an idea. This is how he's putting it. He's like, you get an idea, a thought, an idea. You start to go and learn about things about it. Somebody picks up on it. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like that little whisper in the ear, kind of like you got that person on your shoulder going, do this, do that, this is what you want to do, that kind of thing.
Go ahead.
I got to say something again to our Catholic friend. I am not a New Age spiritualist. And then this is not New Age. New Age was a term brought in, I think I want to say in the late 60s, early 70s, as a term for the re-arisal, the new arisal or the re-arisal of spirituality, meditation, yoga, Buddhism, all the stuff that was going through the hippie movement. And they coined it that. It got a little hippy-dippy.
Marketing term.
It was a marketing, exactly. In the New Age stores, the New Age has done that. And I'm an ancient pagan practitioner, and I do things that came about way before the Bible was even a thought. So but it's also an amalgamation of many other old and ancient spiritual forms that translate beautifully with the Bible and Christianity, and we can all get along and be friends. Have there been people who have used it to their own ends? Oh, sure. There are gullible people out there all the time that fall into cult mentalities and cult worship groups. So yes, that has been used to do wrong, but so is everything else, including the Catholic Church.
Yep.
So we're all on the same playing field here, my friend. Many blessings.
Exactly. See, again, you're much nicer than I am. My typical response is my belief system is older than your Bible. Like, take a hike if you don't want to learn, that's fine. But I mean, it's just this stuff. He claimed to have studied it for 20 years, and I put him in a little timeout so he can go and think about it. But it's like people who claim to study this stuff. Okay, who did you study with? What types of things did you study? Because there's all sorts of different things, and there's really good teachers in the world, and there's really bad teachers in the world. Like you said, do some people that are into this stuff, do they get crazy and woo and kind of psychotic, and some of them ends up in cults? Yeah, but you were raised in a Christian cult, so don't tell me that the Christian church can't form its own kind of versions of it. I think that's just human nature.
We seek order. And we do sometimes look for a leader because we want the answers. And if we don't have the confidence to find them ourselves, we look for a leader who can say, I know what to do. I have all the answers. Just follow me. And that, and it's fine to learn from people who are wise, but I mean, be careful, especially when they start asking for money.
Yeah, for real.
Will we ever find out who nudged you online?
It's not just one person. It's not just one person.
Find out all of those, or at least some of who nudged you, their identity.
No. Never gonna find any of that
No,
out.
he says no.
Nope.
He says no. Yeah.
Of course not. Okay. Oh yeah, violent video games. Did they play a part at all?
That's such a boomer question. I
At least
love
give
her.
you
He
confidence.
wants to
is.
be clear about something.
Yeah.
Although they did for him, it doesn't necessarily mean violent video games cause
Oh,
other
yeah.
people
Yeah.
to kill somebody.
Right.
But in the mind of Thomas, he's saying, in the mind of Thomas, it didn't like say, okay, make him think, okay, I want to go kill somebody, but it still gives you that feeling of kill, you know, when you're already got that mindset, you know,
Okay.
of interest.
Well, so let me just clarify. Yours was a bullet that grazed Trump's ear, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Was advanced technology used to convince you to go to try to kill Trump or others? So we talked about AI. Maybe this is what this person is referring to. Was advanced technology used in this?
Yes. Yeah. That's a yes.
Was that basically AI finding
the AI finding, the AI seeing the algorithms of somebody? I mean, I know that AI they make there. So not to get off the subject, but I know AI like is being talked about a lot right now, that it's you know coming to be and stuff, but it has been around for a while in a sense, because just the fact that, Elisa, you know, when you go online and you look at something like, I want to look at these shoes, and then all of a sudden you're reading an article and these shoes just keep popping up on your order, you know, like or you'll think about something that it just knows you. I know that there's times too, and this is kind of creeping me out a little bit, where you'll think about, me and my husband were talking about like buying this bed, like we're going to buy a new bed or whatever. I go on my phone,
and all of a sudden,
and all of a sudden I go on my phone and it says beds, like whatever, you know, like beds. Yeah, it starts talking about beds. It's like I never looked anything up yet, you know.
My God.
So those kind of things happen, and I'm sure other people have had this happen to them.
Oh my God.
So
there's
always someone listening.
Oh, it's so scary. Through our Alexas and all that stuff. Yeah. Did you have any communication with another country, Tom, in regards to this matter?
No.
Okay.
No.
Was the Secret Service or FBI, CIA aware of what you were doing and just allowed you to go through it?
So what he's saying is no to the whole as a whole, the whole Secret Service or as a whole, but there are some of the like deep state, we'll call them, I don't know, deep state people, characters, whatever, operatives, that are planted in like FBI, CIA, Secret Service, you know, the White House, whatever, in politics. So there were some people that kind of had a thought or idea, but not an exact of what was going on, you know, not the exact details. A lot of this was planned by Thomas. So,
were there purposeful in things of neglect, like the perimeter was not large enough, so they didn't include where Thomas was. They didn't purposely, was it on purpose that they did not put an officer on top of that roof, on the water tower, all that? Was it purposeful that they knew about this suspicious character but continued to let Trump go on stage? Was it purposeful that it took a while for them to take Tom out? Did they want, in other words, were there things that happened because they wanted Trump killed, the deep state?
Yeah. Yes. And I don't know how to do this. Yes and no in a way, because there were certain things, like there wasn't somebody going, okay, now this is the plan. We're going to stay off that roof. Okay, this is what's going on. There's more like there were people maybe included that didn't pay attention as well.
On purpose.
Okay. On purpose. And then there was also part of this was a lack of.
See, like people think with this stuff, like there's these like well coordinated plans and things like that, but it's like the way they actually execute on it is so much more subtle because that's how they cover their tracks.
Oh,
It's not like there's like any sort of like, we're not going to find it like, we're going to do this, 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 and this. It's like, no, we're just going to like make sure that the wrong person is assigned to something. And then that person is going to fail at something that we knew they would fail at in the first place.
That, or they set things up just to see if it would go into motion. And certain people knew not to react to prevent it. And then when it happened, because I think there were some people that really didn't have a clue what was going on. And then there are a few people who are like, shh, don't say anything. We know there's a guy on the roof. Let's see what he does. That kind of thing. And then there was the miscommunication between the local police and the FBI and the Secret Protective Service, Secret Service. Yeah. So, I mean, there was just it was set up to fail. Whether or not it was actually going to, I don't think they for sure knew.
Right. Plausible deniability. Everything is plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Of, what would you call it? Well, first of all, they weren't taking it serious. They're not taking it serious enough. There's this something going on, and not just with Trump and his protection team, but all of the Secret Service. There's something within it where there are a mix of the deep state and then just regular Joes and Janes, and so there is not the right hand talking to the left hand a lot, like it should be. I mean, of all groups
a year, 30 minutes a year.
Of all groups that should be getting things more, serious, getting things very serious and getting things right, this is the type of group that should. But there are people that, I don't know the words, deter it, like distract. Thank you, Eric. Distract the situation. But what he's showing me is there was supposed to be somebody assigned. There was somebody assigned to that roof.
But what
they decided it was too hot and was going to watch from another building, is what he's saying.
Was that willful neglect? Was there willful neglect involved anywhere in this?
There's a little bit of bias in all people.
Yeah.
But some of this was just bad judgment. And then some of it was, again, if you have somebody who is maybe not so, let's just say this, somebody's not so good at what they're doing, and then you got somebody over here kind of distracting them on purpose, it's going to make it worse, is how I can explain it.
What about Kimberly Cheadle, the director of the ex-director of the Secret Service? Did she want this any assassination attempt to be successful, and therefore look the other way at some of the gaps in the procedure and so forth? No, not like personally, but she did have knowledge of certain infiltrated parts of the Secret Service. So there were some things that she knew. Yeah, there were some things that she knew. And then there's also some, what do you call it when someone's just not paying attention to their job, some, where she just wasn't paying attention to things that she should have been. So there was some of that too. It was a mix of it. Basically.
Incompetence, thank you.
More incompetence than willful neglect. Is that what you're saying?
There was, yes, there was.
She was hired mostly because she apparently was a friend of Jill Biden's. Does Jill Biden have anything to do with this? What's her name, Jill?
No,
okay.
No.
No. Let me see. Why were civilians ignored when they tried to alert the police and the Secret Service about your presence? A long time before you took shots.
So what he's saying that he knows now, from this point of view, he's saying that there was a lot of confusion going on right before that, because there were people listening. There were like police officers listening, but the police officers that were kind of scrambling around trying to communicate with the Secret Service, there was the communication was off.
Everybody again, though, channels, I think, stupid.
Right.
All right.
Oh yeah. That's a yes. But there was a lot of miscommunication. There were actual people who actually seen him that were part of the police station trying to let them know. But the communication was off, and then there was actually like waiting for what I'm hearing is like the person who shot him waiting
for orders.
to
Why didn't he get the order right away?
Because of the lack of communication of what was going on. Yeah. And I'm also hearing that there was, so this is something interesting. There wasn't, the staffing was shorter. The staffing was shorter. There wasn't as much as they usually have on staff for the Secret Service.
Carolyn.
And this was planned.
I just
heard. Go ahead.
Oh, she just said she heard it was planned. So I heard that there was a liaison assigned between the police and the Secret Service, so they couldn't contact directly. They had to go through this liaison person who would then relay the messages. So that's why they weren't like, this is what's going on, we're all on the same channel, we're all talking, and that would have been faster and more effective. But there was some stipulation. I want to say it was the local police stipulation, but I'm not sure I'm remembering that correctly, so don't quote me on it. But there was a liaison that they had to go through, and that person was in control of how fast things got communicated.
How stupid. What a stupid idea. But it's designed to be stupid.
It is. It's not designed to be inefficient. Yeah. Ooh, look what I found. These are soothing stones.
Ooh, look at that. So you just go like, it's kind of like, it's like my slime, but it's with a stone.
Yeah. It's all different kinds of crystals. I just remembered I had this. I'm like, I need to play with something.
I'll get you into slime yet, Jennifer. Look, this is sparkle gold slime.
I want it. I want it.
Smells like pear.
Ooh.
Smells very good. It's very satisfying.
Yay.
Wondering if they wanted purposely to not give him that much security, because they had Jill Biden giving some event and then Kamala Harris giving some event, I think, or maybe Biden, I can't remember. But so was that purposeful to try to take some of the Secret Service detail away from Trump? Trump's rally?
It was in a sense. It was. There was some. Again, it's not the whole team. It's not the whole group. Yeah.
Mostly the deep state. The deep state wants Trump dead, pretty much, right?
Well, they want whoever at the time is a threat to their plans.
Yeah, of course. Is there ever going to be accountability as far as jail time for anybody in the Secret Service?
No.
I don't see that happening.
Eric is saying no to that.
Oh, okay. Do you think you were aware you're going to come on alive? We already answered that question. If you were alive, this is good. If you were alive today, who would you have voted for? Now it would be Kamala versus Trump.
This is interesting.
Or just RFK Jr. maybe.
Trump.
Okay.
Okay, so he wants to say something about this.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's saying that his target wasn't about what Trump stood for.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was about a person that would make him stand out the most.
Oh, I see. Wow.
And he actually is telling me right now, and I'm getting chills all over. He's telling me that he was a Republican. He was a conservative. He was somebody who believed in that side. That was his side. But so it's interesting to me that he's saying that this wasn't really about the politics of it.
Okay.
It was the status.
All right.
See, everyone tries to. I knew it was something like that. You could just tell by looking at that. Like this wasn't about like he wasn't super anti-Trump. It was just like, there's no evidence of that. And I love how people they try to make it about this tribalist thing when in fact this was a mentally ill teenager who was a loner, who was depressed, who was autistic and got fixated on this idea of being an assassin, and this was the opportunity to do it. And it had nothing to do with him hating Trump at all.
No, he just wanted to be recognized and be important.
Yeah.
He didn't have that internally or in his life for some reason. And I know his folks were like super worried about him, but it also kind of seems to me like they may have, not been giving him what he needed, the nurturing, maybe paying attention to what kind of maybe medicating him, or maybe they could have been one of those, my kid's fine, my son is fine, you just back off. I mean, who knows what was going on.
They were
there.
Therapists. They were therapists. They were both therapists. Yeah, they were both therapists. And it's like,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, broken people become therapists. Like you become you like, I studied psychology as a self-actualization exercise more than anything else.
But they're so good at denial. That's the thing about a lot of therapists, especially with their own children. They perfect denial because they're so good at it. And I'm wondering if maybe they just wanted to naturally heal him with talking it out instead of giving him meds that he needed. I don't know. Or maybe they were looking into it and they hadn't found what they wanted. Maybe he was having bad reactions. I mean, there's a whole number of reasons why this went south. I know they were concerned because they knew their son was off, but it seems like they dropped a ball somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where like you can't really be a psychic for yourself because you're too close to it to be able to be objective about whatever the thing is. And it's the same thing with like therapy or psychology. It's like you can't be a therapist for yourself because you're too close to it. You need so I mean, his parents literally, they could maybe be wonderful therapists for other people, but like you can't look at your own life and we lie to ourselves, we deflect, we make up every excuse in the book, even if sometimes, and I'm not saying I've ever had this experience, I obviously never have, even if sometimes like you should do something or what's wrong, you still want to be like,
yeah. Oh, I understand. Yeah.
What are you doing with pictures of Catherine, the Princess of Wales? I guess on your
was he going to try to assassinate Catherine?
The significance of that at all?
Oh no!
There is in a way. This is what he's saying. I think this is what he was talking about earlier when he said that Trump wasn't his first choice. It was, he had many different that he was considering.
He was going to try to assassinate Catherine.
People.
Okay.
Bullshit. Fuck that.
And she was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Were there any ETs, extraterrestrials, around during the event? 2 more questions, and we'll take a break and start part 2.
No, not that was involved with this. I mean, we always have something around us, but nothing that was involved with this.
What about BlackRock? Does BlackRock play into this at all, or is it completely unattached?
No, he said no to that. I don't even know what BlackRock is. He said no.
It's an investment deal. Okay, last question for part 1. You guys subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss part 2. Tom, did your parents know or suspect you were going to Trump's rally to do something like this?
No, they had no idea. They had no idea that he was even capable of this. And you know, I know we're ending this, but he wants to, he really feels like bad that they got stuck with his he's saying the aftermath of his actions.
Oh, I can imagine. They must be suffering so much. I mean, first of all, to lose a son, that's no fun.
Yeah. Mom and dad both have some like feeling guilt and stuff, but dad's the most.
Oh, yeah, because it was his son. All right, thank you, Ginger Billy.
All right, there is a second part of this, but I want to comment on that last part. That was the thing that like I thought the most when when they first started, when all this thing first started, I was like, his parents didn't know. Can you imagine being his parents and like finding out that your kid tried to assassinate Trump and just like the shock of all that?
Oh God. Well, and it's tricky with older children because you're trying to give them their privacy. You're trying to let them pledge. You're not trying to helicopter. So, and people go, well, how come you didn't know what your kid was doing? It's like, well, because he wasn't 18. He was a legal adult,
Yeah.
So it's hard you're trying to let them pledge and you're not going to be all up in their business. But oh my God, I couldn't even imagine these poor people. And I'm sure they're perfectly nice people too,
They had no idea.
Oh.
Bot says, how come they haven't channeled aliens? They have channeled aliens. There's a whole bunch of alien like interviews on this channel.
We got to do a Pleiadian one for Bot.
I know that they've done the Pleiadians. I think I may have actually watched that one. John Morgan says, what happens if different mediums channel the same spirit at the same time? Can spirit only talk to one person at a time? My understanding is spirit is an energy, so it can be in 2 different places at once. Am I wrong about that?
It can. I mean, I like to think of it as like we'd prefer to stay together in the same place as ourselves whole. But there is such a thing as fracturing and being in two different realms, like when we dream and then we travel. So we are kind of in two different places. You're tethered and then you're kind of experiencing two different things. But sometimes that might be the reason why they're trying to channel someone and they're not coming through.
Mm-hmm.
They may be occupied elsewhere. So, but yeah, I think it's possible, but I don't know. We should ask a spirit that.
We should ask spirit sometime. All right. Well, let's move into part 2 of this.
Cool.
Nothing shocking in part 1, I would say.
No.
Kind of like what I expected.
Yeah, it's a lot of kind of what I was already vibing, like surmising, because when it all happened, I immediately went, okay, Spidey sense, web network, what the fuck? And so she's hitting on all the things I kind of already knew mostly, or at least inkled towards. Is inkled a word? Can I say?
I think it's a word. We can just make up words.
I
made up the word psychicking, and then it became a real word.
Totally, it's a word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go use the little goddess room while you're queuing up too here.
All right, well, we'll take a little bit of a break. Well, Jennifer goes to the goddess's room. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button if you've just joined us. Welcome to DISENRAGE. This is a little time that Jennifer and I take out on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock where we talk about spiritual things and woo and candles and crystals and chakras and tarot cards and channeling and psychicking and witches and all of these things. And if you don't like this or you think it's the Satan's work, you don't have to be here. All right. But tonight we are watching an Afterlife interview with Thomas Matthew Crooks, who was the Trump assassin. We just got done part 1. We're going to be moving into part 2 now. If anyone would like to mount the like button for us, that would be great. Again, we do these on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock as a little break, as a respite in the insanity. And the rest of the time we can talk about insane stuff on the internet, but sometimes it's nice to talk about non-insane things and not insane things like talking to the dead, obviously, because talking to the dead is completely normal and everyone does it. And I just don't know why this is even controversial, Jennifer.
We're not talking to dead people. We're talking to living spirits.
Well, technically, we're watching a video of someone else talking to a living spirit, but
right.
We're just passengers on this ride.
Yeah, we're not talking to dead bodies. We're talking to living spirits.
Yeah. You want them to channel a queer penguin? Well, that might be a little bit of an ask bot. I don't know that that's going to work out. They have channeled on this channel, though. They've channeled things like wind and flowers and trees and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah. Like some of the older ones. Yeah. So,
oh, wow.
Maybe they have channeled the penguin. I don't know.
That is cool. Well, those, like, I know trees, like I've heard trees speak before, but they don't speak the way we do. They're much slower and it's very emotion, very basic, very just quick. It's sort of, well, like Treebeard, but like it really wasn't that far off. I think Tolkien got it right. Anyway, we digress.
All right, moving into part 2.
Hello, beautiful people, and hello, my beautiful Ginger, and hello, my beautiful Eric Medus on the other side. We are here.
Hi, Mama.
Part 2. I love you. Part 2.
I love you too.
Tom Crooks interview. If you missed part 1, you probably need to watch that first. So stop, watch that, and we'll go on with the questions that are from our awesome community. And Tom, thank you for staying with us and clarifying a lot.
He says thank you. Yeah, he says thank you. Thank you for letting him be here. He's actually saying that, for allowing him to be here.
Okay, now I don't know if this is for Eric. It's actually my question, or if it's for you, Tom. You know, the fact that Trump turned his head and just dodged a bullet, so to speak. Was there any divine intervention, like so many people believe?
Oh, absolutely. Eric says absolutely.
Divine intervention saved Trump.
The divine, they're conservative. I'm kidding.
Of course.
No, but they
no.
Life.
No, it's not even protecting life. There are certain things that are predetermined that are supposed to happen. And It was more so what Eric is saying. It was like a guide. Like we have guides,
Yeah.
and they talk to us. Don't turn there, that light, don't turn right there, turn left, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was like a feeling. It was like it wasn't like you heard someone say turn your head.
Yeah. No.
But it was like, it was like a sense of kind of his energy. It was around the energy of him that made him like do that. But yes, so it's not because of a choice of who they want.
Oh yeah, no. It's like
Yeah,
protecting the spiritual contract, the path that was supposed to happen
right,
to our collective, right?
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Hang on.
And
Talk about that.
I love that, protecting the spiritual contract. That was beautiful. I love how she said that. It is so important to remember too that sometimes when tragedy happens, that is the spiritual contract.
That's like the Holocaust.
That's
which I always got in trouble for saying. I was like, no, it was a spiritual contract. People chose it.
Everything is a choice. I know a lot of people have a hard time we'll have to talk about that one night, but yeah, everything there, because it's such a big topic, and everything is a choice. Except though, I also do love how her psychic's name is Ginger. Am I getting that right?
I think so.
That she said that some things are predetermined, because a lot of people, everyone thinks it's such an either or thing. Either we have free will or it's predestined. Pick one. It's like, no, you can have certain points in your life that are predetermined, but the rest of it is free will. Even sometimes we try to avoid that which is predetermined, and we might end up going, how come this situation keeps raising its head? I keep trying to avoid it. It's like, because you're supposed to face that situation. You're supposed to learn from it. So quit running, turn and face, take your lumps or whatever lesson you're supposed to get. It might be something beautiful.
Now, could it be like, I've thought about this, like, could it, like, when I got in trouble for like that Holocaust tweet or whatever, saying people tried to like, they made the choice to die in the Holocaust. Like, I kind of frame it in my head like it wasn't necessarily, well, here's how I think about it, and tell me if I'm right or not. It wasn't necessarily that they planned out the specificity of everything to like an exacting degree, right? Like, we're going to be in Germany, and there's going to be the rise of this person, and we're going to all get put in camps, and there's going to be mass death, and there's going to be world war and all this stuff. But it's more like there's an agreement that there's going to be some sort of like event where there's going to be death and there's going to be suffering, and you're going to experience that. And there's some reason that they chose to have maybe they're balancing energy or like whatever the hell, but maybe it could manifest as the Holocaust. Maybe it could manifest as them, in the Cultural Revolution in China. Maybe it could manifest as some other mass event, but it's not necessarily like they don't plan it out. Like, we're going to be in Germany in the 40s and this specific thing. Like, am I right about that?
I do. I think there's in some cases there needs to be a certain level of detail that is planned, but again, I think you're onto something where it could be the same as an earthquake or something really horrific that way that nature does, but these people are all supposed to go at that same time to fulfill whatever karmic contract they need to fulfill. As far as suffering goes, what spirit will do, what universe is going to do, is going to put you in a situation that fulfills your karmic need the most. So if you have, say, hurt and tortured others in your past, which happened frequently prior to the Industrial Revolution, it was kind of how things went a lot for millions of people for a couple thousand years, if not longer. I'm trying to be conservative with that, but there's so much brutality. People study medieval times, the Inquisition, the barbarian hordes, Viking tortures, all kinds of horrific things that people have done to each other throughout the centuries. And then in order to balance out that much karma at once, how do you get them to experience the other side of it? They're going to have to experience suffering themselves in some way. And that was the perfect way to do it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean I agree with it. Doesn't mean I'm glad it happened. It's just, that's what I mean about how the universe is neutral, and we are going to hash out our lessons here. That's why we signed up, because we're meant to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, was that all I wanted to say? It feels like there was something else. I don't know if it comes to me.
What is a soul contract? Maybe we should make sure people understand what even that is.
So before we come down here, before we incarnate, we look at kind of where we've been, what we want to learn in the future, what we have left to learn on our pathway to enlightenment. And contracts are things that we agree to to fulfill our lessons, essentially, and to fill our karmic balance. So if you've done a lot of things that have harmed others, you have to balance that out. So it's, think of it as kind of a scale, and you don't get it like good deed. It's not necessarily that. It's through the experience of what you've put upon others, whether it's joy, whether it's pain. And so the contracts are fulfilled, are written so that you have to do this. Some people go, why am I always having such bad luck? And it's like, well, I must have needed to learn this. I must have signed a contract to experience a lot of this dumb shit so that I can gain toughness, so that I can toughen up. Maybe I can be a little smarter and wiser and look before I leap. And like, there's so many more lessons than just suffering. Everything lends to wisdom and karmic balance. And our contracts with people. Hey, I have this friend in the spirit realm. We've incarnated for several lifetimes together, and she wants to come down first, but she wants me to come down later. So we signed a contract that she would be my mother. Something like that. Your sisters, and even families breaking apart, families that are created, and friendships that it's like sometimes you meet someone and go, God, I feel like I've known you for 100 years. And you probably have known them longer than that, because you keep coming down to help each other. You have a contract. I'm your buddy, or a contract that I'm going to marry you, or I'm going to, bear I'll be your mom, or I'll be your dad, or however you decide to come down. So we are here to help each other as much as we're here to learn, experience, whatever it is we're meant to do.
Yeah, I absolutely know. Like I had a contract that Victor is the person I was supposed to marry in this lifetime. And I've thought about this a lot, because it's like, think about the circumstance that needs to happen in terms of like us even meeting. He was born in Ukraine. He was like, he was not supposed to be in the United States. He didn't even know he was coming to New Hampshire when he came to the United States. He thought he was going to be in Boston. Then they got him on a bus to New Hampshire, and all of a sudden he was in the middle of the woods. I mean, I wasn't even going to so I met Victor when he was my mover. And I wasn't even going to hire his moving company, because I wanted to move on a very specific day. And I called all these movers, and there was only one there. Like, his company was the one that could do it on the specific day, but it was like a really expensive option. And so I was like, it's too expensive, like whatever. And I ended up calling them back because they were the only ones that could do it on that day. But I wasn't planning on hiring that specific company.
Wow.
And then Victor shows up, and he's fucking drunk from the night before. But I had just a couple weeks prior, I'd happened to start learning Russian just because I was bored, and I was like, this sounds like a cool language. And like, Victor shows up drunk with a Russian accent, late, and that was it.
Nice. And sometimes though we meet people to fulfill contracts that we hadn't finished off yet. I think a lot of my ex-boyfriends were people that I felt like I had this connection and attachment to. And then by the time we broke up, I felt like we had finished and fulfilled the contract that we had together, and that's over. And also keep in mind, you can break contracts too, and you can create new ones while incarnate. You can do it. Now, there's some that probably you're not going to be able to, but things like that you think sounded good up there, if you need to change it in some way, you can usually do that.
How does that work?
Oh, well,
because how I thought of it is like, you can try to avoid things for a certain period of time, and then life just keeps booting your ass back in that direction until you go, sort of thing. And it's just going to be easier just to go and get it over with. But I didn't know you could change it when you're here.
You can change it when you're here. You can burn them. You can cut the cords.
Oh, I've done that. Oh, shit. I've cut the cords on many occasions. Like, go away.
Yeah. And sometimes they try to reattach, and you just have to keep burning those ends and letting them know they're not welcome. You can sign a new contract with someone. And because our souls are constantly at work, even when we're at rest. And sometimes situations progress in our physical lives, and the universe goes, oh, this is great. Let's set this up. And you go, yeah, sure, I'll take it on, and you do. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, it was such a surprise. I didn't even expect this. So I kind of feel like my husband might have been one of those where I actually requested, as I was manifesting him, someone I had no history with, someone brand new. I need no more karmic debt. Thank you. I've gone through it with all these other guys. I'm done helping other people with their freaking karma. I'm over it. Give me just a blank slate, please. And it worked out perfectly the way it did. So a new contract was signed here. And I'm glad. I'm very glad. But yeah, and then I had one that she was a spiritual sister of mine that I just went, I've got to uproot this cord. And I mean, I dug. It took me a couple years before I finally. I did do cord cutting rituals. You can also write on, like, there's rituals and spell work you can do where you write on paper what you imagine the contract might say, and you burn it. But there's different ways to do it, different ceremonies you can do. But I have done cord cutting ceremonies, and the first time I did it on this person who was my spiritual sister, she literally fell the moment I completed the ritual and broke her leg.
You broke her leg, Jennifer?
I did not know that was. We were in totally different cities.
Wow.
And I was like, I did physically drew a thread between my gut and a picture of her, tied it around the picture of her, tied it around my waist, and we did this whole ceremony, this whole ritual, and then I cut it. And I noted the time that I did that, and I got a phone call the next day that she had fallen and broken her leg at that time. Like, just walking down the road, she just twisted her ankle and went shabloom, just fell.
That kind of makes me wonder about that time I broke my foot when I tripped over nothing on a sidewalk.
Could have been someone breaking a contract with you. You don't know.
What the fuck? And then I end up with a broken foot, and I have to write a book for the next 8 weeks.
Well, see, that came good. That was a good
Worked
thing
out.
then.
Worked out. So that's crazy. So like I've definitely I've done cord cutting in the past where I feel like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I think maybe sometimes that it doesn't work. Maybe I'm just not quite ready to like intellectually I want to let go, but emotionally I'm like, no.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah. Sometimes we say we're ready, but we're really not. It's like starting a diet. Yeah, I'm going to start that diet Monday, and Monday comes and goes. You're like I meant next Monday.
No, gonna eat the food.
Yep. I still have half a bag of potato chips. I can't start it now.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely didn't have half a bag of Takis for dinner. That definitely didn't happen. Takis are so good, though.
Yes, they are.
This is interesting. And Eric says that there's always something when you see divine things happen, or you see something where it's like, oh my gosh, I know some divine intervention is there. That's also to help people kind of wake up a little bit and say, I wonder if there, for those who don't think that there's something out there, believe. Yeah. Right.
Did Trump see anything angelic?
No.
Okay.
No.
I remember what it was.
Hang on.
How did he get up on the roof? Yeah.
Hang on. There you go.
They were talking about how sometimes the energy and your guides are like, go this way, go that way, left, right. And you kind of hear that inner voice. That people say it's angels, people say it's guides, like whatever. It could be all of the above. I'm not going to tell anybody what they're hearing or feeling, but I kind of had the sense, like the psychic sense that of hands coming down and just in his aura, not like grabbing him and wrenching him, because it was such a subtle movement. Like he barely twitched. It just kind of felt like someone went,
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
I agree. I mean, because it was so, and he just needed to move just like a fraction of an inch. So it didn't need any, and if he had moved in a big movement, it would have hit him in a different place.
Could have been. Yeah. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my God,
crazy. And I don't know how you can look at something like that and deny that there was some sort of divine intervention. I just don't know how atheists can look at that and be like, that was all just random chance. It's like, nah, bro, come on. That's just it's a little too perfect.
It was a little too perfect. But again, stranger shit has happened. I mean, what if it was random chance and we're all looking for meaning in it, Anything is possible. But yeah, I think you're right though.
Yeah.
How'd she get up on the roof?
Okay, so he's showing me he's climbing on something that's part of the building. He shows me climbing up like there was something attached to the building, like a pole or a pole or a drain thing. I don't know. It's like a pole that goes up or a pipe or something. Right. So he was climbing up this thing, and then he shows me that he scoots, kind of does the belly crawl like you do in the service.
Yep.
Right.
Like that.
Okay.
And yeah.
What was your life lesson this life? I mean, the main one, we'll say.
Yeah. So something that he was supposed to really deal with was the mental illness. Okay. So the mental illness was a big part of that. And it wasn't just for him, it was for those, that seen this happen, those who knew him.
His parents.
Socializing. He's talking about socializing. He was supposed to struggle with making connections. What's interesting? I don't know why I always say what's interesting. It's like a habit or something, but I catch myself doing that. And it's like, why do I say that all the time? But this is interesting. What he says is that something he's doing on the other side, okay, is he's helping the system for the mental health system. And he shows me that eventually, and this is what I think is cool and interesting, that eventually down the road, we're going to have like these little community type things. Like, how they have boys and girl clubs?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's going to be something like that, to where young adults, okay, because the mental health is not that great. Okay. Mental health system is not great for any age, but young adults are ones that struggle, I think, a lot. He's saying, this is him saying this a lot. He says, so they are going to be having these things where they will have, what is it? So where they teach you life skills.
Oh, a social
where you get
skill.
life skills, social skills, and coping skills.
Yeah.
And it'll be like a club in a way, and they do things, and they go camping, and they learn survival skills. And it's going to be almost like Eric goes like a Boy Scouts or Boy Scout, Girl Scout type thing for young adults to have a little bit of that, because they have to go from being independent on their parents as children to all of a sudden, what? I have to be independent on my, depending on myself.
Hard,
and
man.
Right. And so they're going to have these places all over, he says. And then also what happens is they have evaluations, like where they evaluate if you need help. Now, they don't force people, okay, you got a mental problem and you need help, but they offer this. Okay. So it's just kind of cool, I think. And so he helps with this on the other side.
Tell me, I don't know if Tom or Eric can answer this. How are the bullies, those who bullied you, how are they feeling right now?
That's a good question.
As a collective.
The fact that they are bullies in the first place means they're in denial, he says. So a lot of them are in denial of not taking responsibility for their actions. So, but there are some, because there were more than one, he says. There are some that kind of look like think to themselves, he says, did I do something? Was I, part of this? Did I bully him? Because there were people that, some of them would treat him like he was invisible. And that's kind of a form of bullying, like ignoring him on purpose. He's saying not to really be mean, but just because, they didn't acknowledge him in a way. And that's not intentional bullying, but it is hurtful still.
Yeah.
So,
they did that with my daughter Michelle. She would sit down at a lunch table and the mean girl would instruct all of her little minions to get up and move, leaving her.
It's very cruel. It's very cruel. And as a collective, we're supposed to look out for each other,
Right.
But we do have to have, Eric goes, but we do have to have that duality.
Contrast.
We do, that contrast.
So there were one or two at least that felt, I wonder.
Yes, there was. Yes.
How do you feel, Tom, about killing an innocent guy, Compatore, or however you pronounce, that has a wife and 2 children, 2 young girls?
So at the time, his thoughts wasn't about consequences. Or, now on the other side, so something he says is he's still working like on his, because how time is different. He's still working on going through his life review. It doesn't just always happen within a second when you're on the other side. There are things you work through that you experience just to learn. It's not punishment or judgment. But it was very, very difficult for him to because he had to feel from their point of view what they felt.
Oh no!
So
oh no! Oh no! I'm gonna have to feel the mental stress and agony that I've inflicted on people by triggering them so badly on the internet. Oh no!
I don't think it's gonna be like a big like download of all the people. There are people who are they're just there's no pleasing them. They're gonna get triggered. But imagine the people
let's
that have
go
really,
with that. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do nothing.
So well, well, I mean, I think with this kind of concussive event, it's necessary to feel that learning, to feel that from their side, their point of view. And I have heard of this where part of the decompression process, and it does take time. It's not like you see your life and you get your judgment. There's nothing like, it's not like that at all. It takes a while. But any kind of concussive event where you literally have caused major disruption is going to be given to you to experience. And I've also heard, now again, I'm not an expert here. This shit that I've learned in my studies, that if you decide you don't want to feel that at the time, then it will go into one of your contracts to be on the receiving end of it.
Oh, so you're gonna feel it one way or the other, and you just gotta make the choice of like, I mean, and that makes sense. That's like what karma is, right? Like we're gonna have to deal with it. Like you can't escape it. It's like this is why like people keep saying like, I don't know if you've had to have this discussion with people, but like people ask me all the time, like, okay, so Carlin, you don't believe in any sort of like moral code, like you're not a Christian, like what guides your moral decisions? And I'm like, well, I don't want to experience the consequences of killing someone.
Who made Christians the moral authority? I mean, no offense, love you guys, but it's that kind of morality existed way before Christianity was a thing.
Yeah.
And it is because of karmic balance.
Right. Like you're going to experience, I mean, first of all, like I just don't want to go to jail if I kill someone. So there's just like a very practical, like,
Yeah.
But it's also just like, I don't want the spiritual consequences of having to deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that, and also I think as we grow and learn and become wiser beings, we inherently begin to know this is not the way to be. Harming people is not how to behave. It interrupts the journeys of others. It's not a good or bad or good versus evil necessarily, but it's more of a how are you interrupting their path and interfering with what universe needs them to do. And you're fucking that up. So now you got to learn, because now you've disbalanced. So now you got to come back into balance and experience what it's like to have your path interrupted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do we experience, so how, like, from your perspective, like, how does karma work in terms of like, do we experience it within this lifetime, or is it something that like we will experience the balance of it when we die?
It's ongoing in this lifetime, in the afterlife. I mean, it's an ongoing process. It's like a living presence in our energy field, and like I said, it's not about if I do all these good deeds that I won't get punished, I'm accumulating karmic credit or whatever. It's not so much that. It's about how you are, like if you are in balance and then you get unbalanced one way or the other, something will happen to bring you back in balance one way or the other. It's going to happen. And trying to be a really, really super good person is good and great. And yeah, do that. But it's not necessarily what it's about. It's from the research that I've understood. Some people think it's all about doing good deeds and stuff. But just because you do something good doesn't mean you're a good person.
Right.
So it's about your heart and your soul orientation more than it is about what you do.
And you can't cheat this stuff. People try to cheat everything.
Oh yeah.
Like they try to put on a pretense. It's like, no, it's not going to work. Sorry.
Yeah.
They will have to.
Yeah, they will have to account for it at one way or another. Mm-hmm. So, and like I said, it is an ongoing, ever-present thing that we do. You get hungry, you eat. It's ongoing in the physical body. And karma, it's the same thing. It's always there.
Have you ever felt the need to do something to like balance the energy between you and another person? Like they've done something to you. And it's like it like. Here, okay, maybe let me talk about me.
Go for it.
So I definitely had the experience of like, and I don't know if this is good or bad, or if I'm just inviting trouble, and I'm open to hearing that I'm inviting trouble, and I'm just being an unevolved soul or whatever the hell. I really am open to hearing that. But like I've definitely had instances where like I feel like I got fucked over just like really aggressively, and it just kind of like gnawed at me until like I did something that I considered to be like to balance it out, and then I felt much better about the situation, and it kind of like smoothed the situation out. And it was almost like in one of those times specifically, it felt like it was necessary for me to be able to move forward to have like a relationship with that specific person, where it was like it was just gonna like gnaw at me and eat at me until something was done. Am I making that up?
No, but I think you might be, in a way, confusing self-defense with karmic debt or karmic
No, I
balance.
wasn't doing it in self-defense. I was doing it proactively because I was like,
It still can
this is
be
not cool.
self-defense because it's whatever it is they've done to you. You didn't react right away. And so you're holding on to it. It's eating you away psychologically and emotionally. And you finally went, I have to defend this being that is in pain. So therefore, rah.
Okay, fair enough.
And so that to me is more psychological. As far as karmic goes, that's them experiencing it. For you to balance it out, if you feel, and how would that upset your karma if they are the person doing the thing?
It wouldn't.
Exactly. So you have no responsibility in their
Excellent.
karmic balance.
Excellent.
You have responsibility in your own. If you turned around and said, well, I'm just going to punch you in the face because you punched me in the face, then you get into a game of gotcha last.
Yeah.
And that doesn't serve any purpose. So, and I have known of some witches and spiritual practitioners who have done rituals to balance out or force the balance of karma on their perceived enemies. And that is a form of black magic. It is selfish magic because who the fuck died you and made you the head of the universe and decided what their path is going to give them or not?
See, that's the other thing I struggle with, if I'm honest about it, because like I know in theory we are all going to get karma for what we perpetrate in the world, but there's part of me too that I'm a vindictive bitch, and I'm just like, I want to be the one to inflict it and decide what it is.
Yeah, well, that is you just being a vindictive bitch.
Yeah,
and that's your personality. That's not a karmic thing, but
I can acknowledge it.
It can give you an imbalance of karma if you start deciding that you're going to keep trying to force it on other people. Because the thing that we sometimes need to learn is we are not in control all the time.
Yeah, I definitely need to learn
we
that
can.
lesson.
The lesson is learn how to get away from that toxic situation before it hurts too badly. And if it escalates, well, defend yourself, but also cut it off and realize that they don't have power over you. They're going to have to wrestle with their own demons. You wrestle with yours. And I feel like I'm losing the point a little bit, but yeah,
no, that actually might be my life lesson, is like, you are not in control of everything at all times. And I'm like, yes, I am. God damn it.
It's
yes,
well, coping skills need to be honed. It is, and it's called a skill for a reason. You have to practice coping. And sometimes that means taking it from people, but definitely learn your boundaries. That's an emotional, psychological lesson, how to defend yourself, how to shut it down and tell people, no, you're not going to do this to me anymore. Screw you. But there's something that, and I have to say, I've been really learning for some reason because of Phelan passing away so suddenly. All of a sudden, I just went, oh, I am not in control. Because there's one thing you cannot control the most, and that is death. And I just went, oh my, all the things that I have been clutching and trying to drive in my life like a mad woman, I finally went, oh, it's all going to happen when it's meant to be. I am not in control. I'm just going to do my best to find the right path and go and be the best little driver I can, but I'm going to quit forcing it.
Man,
and it's hard.
There are so many times when like I have that specific realization, like I'm not in control of this. Or I think about these times like when I met Victor against all odds, like we were supposed to meet, and so universe conspired to bring us together across like continents and all this stuff. And it's like one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know. And I've had enough instances in my life, like with the Trump rally article that went viral, I was like, that was channeled. I know that didn't come from me. That came through me. I knew it when I was writing it. And then it like blew up my life in a way that I never could have made that happen. Like that was something that was like meant to happen for whatever reason.
It was an instrument to guide you into where you are now.
Yep. But it's like I think about these things sometimes when like I want something so bad, or I want something to work out so bad, and I'm like in my head I'm like, just let it happen. If it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. You need to fucking relax and just focus on other things. But then there's the other part of me is like, no, I will not let. I feel like the more that we focus on these things, the more like we prevent them from happening, because we just need to like allow it to happen. And I know that in theory, but it's so hard.
Yeah, well, be prepared. For not necessarily the force is the wrong word here for me, what I'm trying to say, but align yourself in preparation for what you want to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And then let it go and let it flow. And that is some of the hardest things. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a control freak too, dude. I get it. I want
I
this
always
to
forget
happen.
that you're a Capricorn, because I don't
now.
like Capricorns, but I like you. But I always forget you're a Capricorn because of that.
I'm a good sea goat.
That's
But
why
yeah.
you're so good at like writing and stuff and staying focused, because you want to be productive and get it out and have it be perfect.
Yeah, I love the serenity prayer, because for that exact reason, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the strength to change the things I can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are things that I can control. I cannot control all of them. And if I keep gripping it, all I'm going to do is get sore fingers from clenching my fists so much and grinding my teeth so much. But you just go, when I was doing some meditations while Phelan was ill, and I was trying to think, I asked, what am I supposed to learn? Because it didn't make flippin' sense. What am I supposed to learn from this whole adventure that's been happening the last 2.5 years with this beautiful being in my life, my dog? And the message I got clearer than anything was trust.
Mm-hmm.
Trust the process. And I went, okay, I trust the process. And I understand that a lot of Christians, they find, and I admire them for being able to do this, they find peace when they say, I gave it up to God. I gave it to Jesus. You know, how whatever their phrasing is, I gave it to Christ. I accepted Christ in my heart. I gave it to God. And because that is the exercise of letting go and acknowledging that there are bigger things at work here than you. Let it go, let it flow. Not always easy to do. Sometimes it takes a smack across the face, but you know, I mean, that's also why we have friends to remind us when we're being shitty.
True.
It's like I know people want justice and they want people to like kind of pay or, get punished. But that is a punishment in itself without it trying to be, when your soul has to feel what you've created.
What was a message you wanted, if any, to send out to the public? It sounds like you just wanted to be known. Here I am. Maybe that was the message. I'm not.
He wanted to go out and have his name be known.
Okay.
He was never known in life. People ignored him. So it was kind of like, they're going to know me now.
Okay.
I want to go back because before we jump to the next question, he was apologizing about, to the family. Not that he says that's just not going to help, but he still wants to put it out there.
Okay. It's just a wake-up call for both political parties, gun owners, and citizens to look at the issue with guns being in the hands of young people who use them for negative intentions. So, and will this lead to laws that I think are reasonable? I'm all for the Second Amendment, but to have assault weapons, I don't know how necessary that is. To have those, but you just kill with one bullet. So
it is going to.
I feel like she used to be more conservative, and her audience bullied her into being more liberal.
And she might be asking questions that other members of her audience want to know the answers to. I think isn't she asking questions that she came up with, but also other people sent her?
Yeah, I think so. I think she has a list of questions.
Yeah, it looks that way. So, I mean, I don't know. I remember. I try not to judge like where people are coming from, as long as we don't get preachy about the whole 2A thing.
Yeah.
Because, rights and stuff.
Make some change, he says. It is. It's going to make some change in that area. It is.
Well, what about young people, young adults, young teens, whatever, that have family members that have guns, and they didn't get a background check and stuff because, they just took it from their parents or their brother or whatever. So,
right.
What's going to come of that? How can we prevent vulnerable people in a household from getting their hands on guns that are not theirs, that were not cleared to buy, to use it for nefarious purposes?
Well, you can't control everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is coming from Eric. He says
Exactly.
there
Eric's
are,
like,
every
"Step
time
again."
a situation like this happens, new gun owners, there's always another lock put on something. You know what I mean? Like people try to secure, he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it does make people be aware at that moment, but then that wears off. You know, you have these situations and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure the case has a lock on it. And I got to make sure that I'm aware and that I'm paying attention. And then that wears off and they go back to their normal everyday
Places.
unawareness.
It's like you drive really well after you get a speeding ticket.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So,
exactly.
but you asked your dad for it because you said you were going to go target practice. So that didn't, that wasn't the case with you.
Yeah, there was a lot of shock, not just surprise, but shock in his parents and in other people that knew him. He's saying they would have never thought he was somebody that would do this.
Okay. Wait, why did the Russia family, BlackRock, Vanguard, George Bush, Cheney family want to kill Trump to make money for profit?
Go ahead.
This is what astounds and annoys me a little bit about some of the arguments for, I'm trying to be politically correct here.
You don't need to be politically correct, it's fine.
for more gun legislation and background checks and things like that. They always are trying to, well, we need more background checks. How do one? How would that have prevented this in any way? If he was 25 and went for a background, there is a first time for everything. And there's a first time someone's going to snap. And for many of them, it's their last also. But I just don't see why people think, oh, well, we'll just check them and see if they have a history. Well, you know, you might find that with some people, but usually the ones that snap, they've snapped for the first time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also just like,
predict it.
I mean, I think there is a case to be made about, like, listen, I think that psychiatry and psychology is completely messed up as an industry. And so I think there are a lot of bad therapists out there. But I also think that there's a case to be made about, like, this was a mental health issue.
Yeah.
This was a mental health issue of a kid who was a loner in school, who was clinically depressed, who had an undiagnosed personality disorder, who, like, there could be other solutions that have nothing to do with guns. The gun was not the problem. The gun was a tool that was acquired that he would have figured it out one way or the other, you know, from his father, who just thought he was going to go shooting. And it's like the problem started way before the gun.
Well, and also, just does that mean then that we penalize every single kid or adult who's got that list of issues?
Right.
Because not every one of them are going to come to this conclusion. Of all the hundreds of thousands of people that have these issues, one has done this.
Yeah.
You know, so by that, it's statistically insignificant. So, I mean, yeah, you can't penalize everybody. And I think it would be, well, and you know, another thing though, is even people who do cry out for help for their child who is unstable don't get the help they need because, as you said, the industry sucks. They wouldn't take, what's the person that shot up that elementary school? His mother was trying for years to get help for him. And they kept getting tossed aside. And it's like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. You cannot blame, you just blame the person. Quit blaming the items, and, you know, just get to that person did the thing. Everybody, a lot of us have similar backgrounds. Not all of us turn out mean.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's like, at some point, like, you know, people claim to care about these problems. Well, there are a lot of ways you can fix these problems that have to do with larger issues in society. And you would rather continue fighting over nonsense and being outraged over stuff on Twitter rather than doing anything serious. So are you really concerned about these problems? I mean, I feel like I can get rather severe with people in that, like, I think that people's behavior tells you exactly what they care about and what they don't care about. And most people will lie and they'll say, oh, I care about X, Y, B, and Z. And then you look at their behavior isn't doing anything related to X, Y, B, and Z.
Yeah.
And so I can get a little severe sometimes in terms of, like, no, you don't care about that thing. You're just making that up. You care about this stuff over here because that's where you're focusing all your energy and all your attention. Don't tell me you care, but you haven't even looked at this week.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
And also, I think this is a message, and I really hope a lot of parents are having discussions with their children right now, that this is a message to how bullying really can affect somebody's mental state.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope a lot of people who and you know, the thing about bullies is they don't realize they're bullies. They think they're just being cool kids. You know, I was bullied a lot in school, and I ran into one, and it's an adult, and he apologized. He was like, "We shouldn't have done that. You didn't deserve that." And I thought, "Wow, that was really beautiful." But when you're a kid and you're caught up in all the hierarchy of being a kid and all the bullshit, you don't always realize. But I really hope parents parent and talk to their kids about don't hurt other children. If you see someone getting picked on, intervene. You know, there was that whole anti-bullying movement that just wasn't that just happening where they were all like this big anti-bullying movement. What happened to that?
Well,
That's
I mean,
gone now.
it's not even just kids. Like I see this in adults every day
Yeah.
online. Like the avenging angels of Kiwi Farms who are really just harassing people all day, every day, but they honestly think they're doing the Lord's work. And it's like, no, you're just creating a nightmare for someone. And don't be surprised if that comes back to bite you at some point. Because, well, it will come back to bite you in terms of karma. Like you're going to experience everything you put on someone else by doing all this bullshit on the internet, because it's like, and I think on the internet, it makes it so easy too, because people don't actually think they're impacting the lives of other human beings.
Oh yeah. I think one way to find out if you're on the right path is ask, how is this serving the person I'm taking action on, and how is it serving me? And if you're finding that there's a negative anywhere in there, just walk away.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so hard online though, and this is something that you know, because you can't escape it. And like, you know, there's so many people that I just have had to disassociate with just because they're way too into this culture where they're just insulting people all the time. And like, I know that I have like a tone and stuff like that, and I'm not always the most pleasant person to be around, but I don't go out and proactively bully people. And I try my best to stay away from the people who are doing it because it's so toxic.
See, I think you have something that my husband has the same affliction. It's called resting bitch voice.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I get it. Right on.
I don't know that that's the case. There was a lot of investment in his death. Some say 12 million, but something it was going into the billions, which would mean a huge loss for these people. So there's a conspiracy thing that people shorted Donald J. Trump stock and other stocks in order to make money, and they wanted to assassinate them. Is there anything to that conspiracy theory?
Eric's saying no. He's saying no, it wasn't about that. No.
Okay. Did you think there was an afterlife, Tom?
No, he's saying no. He just thought it would be done. It would be black. It would be over. Yeah.
So then what was crossing over like for you? What were your first thoughts?
That's a good question.
I'm very interested.
I'm still here.
Okay.
It was like, I'm still here. I'm still existing. And then he was like aware of the fact that his body and mind, how much control over him it had, because once he was separated from it, there was more of a, you know, wait, what happened? You know, what did I do? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then a realization and remembering, okay, this is what I did. This is what happened. He said, he was happy though. He's saying he was happy that he was still existing. It wasn't like, oh shoot, I'm not here. You know, I thought I wasn't going to exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
He was, because there was more of a remembering, you know, coming in of, oh yeah, you know, this is who I am, or, you know, who I really am.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta say, if there's not a question coming up about a past life, because I know we talked about one with the Holocaust.
Yeah, there might be.
Me and him. Yeah. So if there isn't, though, me and him were talking about something earlier. So about it.
Go for it.
So first of all, I want to clear something up about the other one, because I know there were some comments and confusion, but.
You read comments? Oh God, girl!
No, my mom does though. My mother does,
read
right?
The comments.
So, sometimes I'll go in there, like if she reads one, you know, and she'll tell me about some, and I'll go look at it, maybe, and put a little heart or something, you know, just acknowledge it. So first of all, when we talked before about that past life he had with the Holocaust, Trump was not the one who killed him. They weren't
Okay.
even connected or knew each other. Trump was just a part of the party.
Wait, there must have been another interview with him or something on this channel where they talked about the Holocaust.
Whoa.
Huh.
So, you know,
Okay.
and and was an opposer. He was just an
Okay.
opposer in this, right?
Oh,
So I just want to clear that up.
okay.
Second of all, I'm not second of all, but the next thing is something me and him were talking about. He was telling me, and this was my question for him, another past life, maybe, you know, that he could tell me. I just find these kind of things pretty interesting. We do have a lot of lives that are affecting us, but one that he brought up was pretty current, more current. Well, I mean, I guess it's not as current, the other one, but he showed me like in the 1800s, like mid 1800s, that he was like a sheriff in a little community.
Okay.
Like a sheriff. And he shows me that and I just found this very interesting. He shows me that he was somebody who was trying to make a change, a difference with guns.
Oh, wow.
Like a kind of gun, and now I'm getting chills all over, a gun control type thing, right? And he says that what he was trying to do was make it to where people didn't bring guns in, like say
the saloon.
Right, a saloon or in like parties, town parties, or any kind of like celebrations that they had, or where a bunch of people were at, and maybe mixed with alcohol. Yeah. So he's saying that this was something he was trying to make other changes too, but I just found this one pretty interesting.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And so what he said was, though, that he was actually assassinated in a way because he was killed in his sleep. Like somebody came into his house and killed him in that life.
Wow.
Didn't like the change that he was making.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He was like in his like 50s, like he wasn't real young. He was older, but he was still like, he was really getting somewhere with this. So it was a sort of kind of gun control in a way.
That's cool.
You know? Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was pretty kind of, you know,
really cool.
That kind of connected a little bit, I think.
What was your cross? Did you cross over right away?
No.
Oh, really? How long did you hang out? Did you like body for a while or check out Trump? And
he stayed around till okay. He's saying he just stayed around a little bit just because of it was almost like that was his way of taking responsibility in a way. Some of it by seeing what's going on.
That's
right. Right. And that was his choice. He wasn't made to do that. That was his choice.
All right. Okay, let me see. Did you meet anybody in particular when you did eventually cross over?
So there was nobody there, he said, when he crossed, not even a guide or anything. He was on his own. Yeah. Nobody.
Huge.
Huh?
What, Eric? Why is that?
Hang on, talk about that.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I think that one of two things is true. Either he was meant to experience this on his own and really be alone in his moment, or somebody somewhere wasn't expecting him to do this and they didn't send anybody, or he didn't have anybody who wants to hang out. But everybody has guides, you know, but the guides also know if you need to experience something on your own, they're going to let you.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, wow, she's going to ask why. I'm really interested in this.
Well, let's see.
Eric is saying that this was just what was decided before. Like sometimes we decide, like, okay, once we pass, what's it going to be like? Who's going to meet us? You know, these things are planned too. And it was just something that was going to happen because he needed to reflect. It was almost like a reflection on your own, kind of learning and taking it all in on his own without any support.
Okay.
And then a guide came in, and then I see a family member. There's some family members here. They look like ancestors or like grandparents, you know, type.
Okay.
Not, yeah.
Well, have you met Corey, the one that?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Tell me about that.
Yes.
And was this like a soul contract between them?
It was.
The guy that he accidentally unalived.
It was a soul contract.
I wondered about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he came I mean, people said like he protected his wife and daughter. Like he came there, like, and that to me was very clear. It was like he knew what he was supposed to do and he did it, and you know he did it willingly, and it was probably something that he decided, and he was probably completely fine with it because he protected his wife and daughter.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder though if it was a contract between the two of them, between Tom and Eric, not Eric, Tom and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very, very interesting. That's spookily specific.
Well, you just said it was like a soul contract, so let's.
But it didn't say with who. Yeah, let's see.
Let's see.
It was. So something he's saying is, and he doesn't want this to come across as like cold or unfilling, but something he's saying is when you're in the spiritual plane, okay, the like heavenly plane, and you're seeing like what you were supposed to do when you come here, and you're learning about those things, and say it's somebody who kills somebody else, and this is common for a lot of them. He says you see the whole picture of what you were doing here together and how you know each other and why, and so it's almost like you look at it as this was a project, like you have this project that you're supposed to be doing, and then you completed that project and everything's okay. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, you killed me, I don't like you, or I'm upset with you kind of thing.
Like you're
He's showing me
play. Y'all are actors in a play, basically.
Right. Like that, like we all have parts that we play for learning. And sometimes the human brain doesn't think that way. It just doesn't. It's not supposed to.
No.
And so he's saying that, so they did meet, and he's still, what's interesting is that when you leave, you still kind of have connections to the planet that you just left, like, those emotions and stuff at first.
Right.
So there was still kind of like a remorse in a way of, the pain and suffering of the ones left behind kind of thing. So they get together, they pull together, and they help people through it, I mean, that's all they can do.
Was this an exit point for Corey?
Yes, it was. It was.
Now it gets back in. Why did she want to? Okay. Now we get into, when do your karmic lessons end with Trump? Oh, okay. So this is also, well, the one in the 1800s, was Trump in that also?
No.
Okay.
No.
So what past life influenced this one as Thomas? Was it the one we just talked about?
Well, there's not just one, there's all because you got your higher self, right? And we're living these lives, all like our future lives and past lives from a spiritual point of view are influencing us, because our whole selves don't come into our bodies. It's just parts of our higher self.
Of course.
And so you do have influence from all of them, but the situation here had a lot to do with those two lives that I have already talked about. I'm sure there's others that we could probably go into, but for the sake of time, he only give me.
No.
But these were the main ones, he says. These are the main.
Can I address that real quick?
Affected him.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
She said something really interesting that is something I'm still trying to learn about and chew on. So, like, again, just things that I've studied that are interesting. The higher self, because I always thought that our whole soul comes in, does the thing and then goes back. And I'm hearing that it's more like she's saying your higher self and only an aspect of you comes down, but you're still up here and you're just tethered. Yeah. And so I'm still kind of wrapping my head around that and trying to learn it and make peace with it, because to me, I don't like the idea of not being all together. Like, that's part of my control freak aspect.
Yeah.
I don't like this idea. But so I think that's really interesting. And so what I heard in this lecture that I listened to is that we're constantly going back and forth, downloading and feeding information between the aspects of ourselves. And also we also are able to send another little aspect of ourselves to friends and family that need our help. And sometimes we show up in their dreams, and it may not be our actual soul that went there or our higher self, but maybe just an offshoot of us that went over. And, so I mean, it's such a a new, like a big concept to think that we are such a multi-dimensional, big, huge being that we can have multiple experiences at once. And I just find that fascinating. But yeah, so I've heard that that is a thing. And also, and then they also say that that's why we can have multiple universes and stuff, which I still can't make peace with this. I cannot make peace with the multiple universe thing. Alternate Earths. Nope, I can't do it. But they say that that's just like fractions of all yourself. And I'm like, that's just too chaotic. And we live in a universe that is, it's an ordered universe, but it is a free will universe. And I don't like the chaotic thing of that. But yeah, it's a really interesting idea. I mean, I'm interested to hear what she says next.
It's like when you first learn about like time being a construct that we've created that doesn't really exist. And it's like kind of like a mind, like at least it was for me. It's like a mind, like, okay, so everything that has ever happened and will ever happen is happening right now. Time is not, and it's just like, it's so hard to wrap your head around. And there are times when I can understand it, but there are also times when I'm just like, no, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, the only time that I feel like I can understand that, well, I always thought time as an ocean where things kind of wash in and out and sometimes overlap, and that's how we can get psychic inklings and about other things that are coming our way, or maybe we're reliving something from a past life because it's just the waves have just washed in on our experience. But there have been a couple times when I feel like I'm pretty sure I jumped a timeline. I don't really know what that means. Like I kind of know, but I'm scared of what it means.
Yeah.
But have you had that where you feel like,
oh yeah,
different reality now? And
oh yeah,
yeah,
it's like nothing changes, but everything changes at the same time.
Something feels off.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't. It's like being in a new house all of a sudden. All my shit's here, but I'm not used to these walls. Like what?
And it's also like the idea that if you can imagine a reality like that reality exists on some timeline somewhere, and that's the whole concept of like jumping timelines, right? If you can imagine it, you can jump into that timeline because it exists somewhere.
See,
right?
again, that to me creates too much chaos considering the multitude of beings that are doing that and how creative we are. To me that feels like it's just a lot of noise. I'm like, there's got to be some more order to it. But that's I think another reason why I'm drawn to writing too, because I can take that and put it in a page. Mm-hmm. And it's here contained as it is. But yeah, I don't know about the whole multiple universe.
Any regrets for this life, Thomas?
So there are some opportunities he had that he didn't take, that at first, because usually it's not really regret on the other side. It's just like, oh, I probably could have done this instead of this kind of thing. Like there were people that did reach out to him to maybe be a friend, and he didn't, and there were times where he wanted to get help, like for mental illness or go to somebody and talk to them. And he kind of wished he did those kind of things.
All right.
Yeah.
Any message for your parents?
The feeling that he's giving me right now, it's just so heartfelt. Like it makes you want to like kind of cry, it's like very hard. He's just beyond words of what they're going through and how sorry he is, that they're going through this, and he's trying to help with what he can on the other side, bringing support and love. He's just so sorry. He's so sorry to everybody that, is because it's not just his parents, it's the the trauma, the post-traumatic stress of people that were there, that were not even just people that got shot at, or not shot at, but shot, like actually hit, or lost a loved one. He's saying, but
some people feel like our whole country sort of went into some sort of PTSD. Well, don't you want to tell them that you're okay, that it didn't hurt, maybe? And there was
he just wanted to make sure that they knew how sorry he was and how he feels about what he has created. He just wants to get that clear because that's so important to him. But yeah, he is okay. He is okay. And he's like, I will see you again. He's like, I will see you again. They've had many lives together. They are, obviously part of the same soul family. Yeah, and he's just saying that he just loves them so much and that he really wished that he would have opened up more to them,
Yeah.
and sorry, and he just now said sorry that they were blindsided, is what he just said. Yeah.
Will you reincarnate, Tom? Or just rest for a while? Time is
Not now, no. Not in this life,
his
not
parents'
in this.
lifetime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Last question. From your point of view now in the afterlife, and Eric, this might be a question more for you. I don't know. Who is the head of the deep state? You can just say a position. Don't give a name, please.
The Jews.
Tell us whatever you can.
There isn't just one. Eric
Easy
says there
killer.
isn't just one. Okay, so Eric is saying that there isn't just one. There's a group, like a committee. Like, think of a committee. Okay. This committee doesn't have a CEO, is what he's saying. Yeah, it's a group. A lot of this. I don't want to say too much because, and I don't know it. I don't know it. He's not telling me. But what he does say is, there's money. It's about greed and control.
Yeah.
That's the bottom of the, bottom line. Greed and control, and
Don't
try
get
to
me in
keep
trouble,
things
Carly.
going in a
Not the
way
Jews.
that
Sorry,
they
definitely
think
not the
is
Jews.
best in their mind for them. And not so much, they don't always, he's saying they don't have the people's best at heart. Like, they don't have their best in mind. Yeah, I was trying to get from him, like, if he could give me, like, maybe if it's somebody like a part of another, group that we know of, but
No, let's not.
yeah,
let me ask you this. I'm really worried about Trump and others, of course, but the cartel, they don't want him to be president because he's going to root him out. Iran, Russia, China, there's so many reasons for people to kill him, including members of the deep state. Will there be another attempt on his life? And if so, will that be successful? Or will he get adequate protection? I mean, at this probability moment.
Yeah, I'm hearing no for the attempt on his life again. But yeah, right. That could change, like things can change. But at this moment, I'm hearing no to that right now. He will have obviously more security around him. It's not just him either. Eric is saying, he's saying a lot of people, think of people around the world, a lot of people that are in charge or the lead of countries, or, ones who make decisions, which Eric says they're not always the one who's making the only decision. It's a group, that makes the decision in the political world. But they all have things that they do that people are opposed to.
Yeah. Because it takes away money and power or
yeah. Right.
Will, at this quantum probability, who will be the next president? Will it be Trump?
Question.
Kamala, or someone else?
God.
At this moment.
Right now, the odds are going more towards what's her name?
Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. I guess that's it. All right. Thank you. If you want to ask any questions, Ginger or Eric, Tom, do you want to say anything else before we close?
He's just saying thank you again. And he's kind of like holding like this. He's going, thank you, and I apologize. He's apologizing for, the collective, for everybody, anyone who was affected by what he did. Yeah, and he's something he's saying is it's something to where somebody with a mental illness, which is never an excuse for the behavior, he's saying, is interesting. When you get hurt, you hurt others. you know, like it's like when they get hurt, when a person gets hurt, and there's so many of them out there, and I mean, they may not be shooting somebody, but they react to hurt others.
Okay.
And so his advice is try to treat others the way you want to be treated, which I think is
that doesn't always work.
Clarification I want to make, because this came up with somebody else. Will Kamala may actually become the next president if, like, Biden steps down completely, or if he has a stroke and dies, but at the election, that might be different. So she may truly be the next president, but will Trump win the election, or will Kamala?
Let's see what he says.
Both are highly unpopular, but
yeah. So it's hard, because there is a chance that Trump can win this. You know, I mean, it's so hard to say because of the decisions going back and forth all the time. There are people like when Biden, how do you say her name? I feel bad. I can't say.
I don't know.
What is it?
Kamala. I don't know.
Kamala.
I don't even know what
So when she stepped up, a lot of minds started changing, Eric says.
Yeah.
And it was going the other way towards Trump.
What did I say?
And then when she stepped up, a lot of minds started changing.
Her,
So,
honeymoon period, perhaps, or maybe that'll last. I don't know.
Right. So right now, the way it's set, she's the one who's is in favor, but there's a chance that he can win. You know,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. I love you.
Well, this was a month ago, so I think that you know, maybe things have changed since then. But I thought that was every time I watch Afterlife interviews on this channel, like I just want to watch all of them. I love watching them.
I want to binge.
Yeah.
So, how long has it been since Biden stepped down?
It's been, when was that debate? It's
Like,
been a couple months, hasn't it? I don't even know anymore.
The last couple of weeks have felt like a year. So, and this week's already a blur. So I don't even know. I can't think of how long ago that was, if he'd stepped down already by the time they'd done this. It seems to me he had. Because I think it was like within 3 weeks, he was already like shooting star.
They were talking about Kamala, so.
Yeah. So I think okay, so he had already stepped down. Yeah, I was 100% thinking Trump was going to get elected, and now I'm seeing the reaction and the firestorm that they have supported her with, and it doesn't matter what she says. She could go up there and read the dictionary, and people be like, "Yay!" You know, like they don't even care. It's just not Trump, and they've made him such a villain that she's the golden child. Yeah, so now it's kind of looking like it could trend that way, and she's popular enough that they can pull shenanigans.
It was amazing to me to watch the propaganda of the DNC, just like knowing how much propaganda it was, and kind of seeing, like, we saw the makeover of Kamala Harris in real time. She went from being a drunk in the vice president's office who wasn't really doing anything, never, like, her staff was constantly turning over. No one
90% turnover rate of her staff.
Honestly, like she, like, and you could tell she was drinking all. You could tell that by like, and then they cleaned her up. They poured out all the booze. They got her makeover. I mean, it was like we saw the reincarnation happen right in front of us, and then all of a sudden there's propaganda with Kamala looking longingly off into the distance and looking very leaderly like and authoritative and, you know, inspirational. It's just like, fuck you, fuck you all. Honestly,
there was a have you seen, I think it's a Trump commercial where they actually have Kamala debating herself, like the statements that she made like not long ago compared to the statements that she's making now, and it is hilarious. It's talking about, oh, we're gonna do this, that, and the other thing, and then it shows her from a few years ago going, I don't support any of that, this is a terrible idea, and blah blah blah, you know, and just like showing her contradict herself. People, I'm telling you, so many people have the memory span of a goldfish. They just, how soon we forget.
No, it's so true. People, it's amazing too, and it's like, you know, it's going to happen. And both sides do this, where they play on the like collective amnesia of their voters to be like, we can just completely change our. Trump's done it too. Oh, yeah. Like Nick was talking about it on his show last night about how their whole thing now with Trump is they're going to go to Michigan and they're going to use Trump's words from 2016 against him to show people, here's what he said in 2016. Here's what he's doing now. Are you okay with this? Because we're not okay with this. We want 2016 back. And it's
Oh,
like
wow.
both sides do this. And people forget, and it's amazing to watch how people forget. Like, you know, and I like personally, I take a little bit of solace in this because obviously, like, I've had, you know, these, you know, scandals or like whatever, even though I don't really think anything I ever did was like that scandalous, but it got blown up to be that when someone needed it to be that, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, no one cares. No one cares. Like a couple years later, no one cares. The only people who are even still talking about it are the people that are going to twist anything you do anyway. So it doesn't matter. Most people just don't care anymore.
Yeah. Well, and this has been going on from time immemorial. I mean, it seems like it was only a couple election cycles ago, but it's been friggin' 20 years more. Oh my God, since Obama took office, you know? And he was, when he originally ran, he was against gay marriage. Marriages between a man and a woman. Like, he was interviewed on it and he laid all that out. By the time he went for the next election, everyone was like, he's the man that supports gay marriage, blah, blah, blah. It was like, boom, they flip whatever they need to flip that's going to serve their purpose, and they're still doing it. Again, that's politics. That's the whole shenanigans of it. I just can't.
Yeah.
That's why I like Spirit World a little better, because at least they're honest, at least they're neutral with things. You know, they'll tell you what it like it is as it is.
Well, it gives you some sort of higher level perspective too, to know that like this stuff is just out of our control. Like, we can't really do a whole lot about it. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. If there is meant to be divine intervention, there will be divine intervention. Like, it's like, you have to just let it go. You're here. And this is, I think, I'm glad we're doing this show because it's getting me back kind of like into this mindset that I used to have before I got sucked into this world. It's kind of like, you know, you're going to meet the people you're going to meet. You're going to have the experiences you're supposed to have. Just let it go and let it happen and stop worrying too fucking much about it, because you're just driving yourself crazy for no good reason.
Trust the process. There's a plan A and a plan B at all times. And if the country is meant to be run by Trump, it will be. If it is, and then Kamala gets elected, then they're going to go to plan B, you know, or I'm not saying Trump was plan A, but, you know, they've got a branched system. If this happens, this is what we're going to do. If this happens, this is what we're going to do. Either way, it can be meant to be. And right now we are in what's called flux, which is why it's very frustrating and confusing, because there's no predictability here. And we're all messed up from all the bullshit we've been learning on the internet. None of us know the truth of what's happening in the rest of the freaking world, much less in our own country. So just be true to yourself. Try not to get caught up in the bullshit.
Yep. All right, Jennifer. Well, another successful episode of DISENRAGE, I think. Now, you had an idea that we were going to learn about the birth of Satan at some point.
Well, it's not the birth of. I would like
creation of Satan, not the birth. Creation of Satan.
And I chose that word purposefully, the creation of Satan. I want to take a little time to dig into this, so we might do it because I am going on vacation. We're leaving Saturday, and I'll be back the following Saturday. So I won't be here next week. But when I get back,
I'm left to my own devices next week to pick out what I want to watch.
Yep, it's all you.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, but I want to take some time to kind of do a little. I already have like a lot of research I've done on this, but I want to do a little bit more of a deep dive and actually have some materials and some video, like, because it's something that fascinates me, and it's not just about Satan. It's also how you create villains. Which is what they've done. And I'm not going to say too much, but on your other stream, we're learning that also about a different individual. And I think they're doing it to Trump too. I don't think Trump's a great, like, amazing person, but he's also a great and amazing person. We can be two things.
Yeah.
And multi-leveled beings are we. And what happened with the creation of, you have to have, I just had three thoughts happen at the same time. Sorry, that was rough. You have to have, and this is why a lot of the satanic churches have the goat, because you have to have a scapegoat. And that's exactly why they use that in their symbology. And why you have to have someone to blame, because it can't be me, and it can't be an all-loving God. It has to be an evil force.
Ain't it the truth?
There's so many interesting roads to travel on that, and so many different deities that were combined to create the Satan that we know of in the Bible. And the hell that we know of in the Bible.
Man.
All
right. Well, we'll look forward to that. Well, I hope you have a great vacation coming up. Road trip.
I'm in the let it go, let it flow phase. Like my husband and I already were like, this is gonna suck. We're gonna hate every second of it. We just got the bitching out of the way, so we go, okay, now we're in a good neutral place. We're just gonna drive. We're gonna experience what we experience, and we're just gonna be glad that it's our little family as it is now with him and me and Keena. And
do you have any like touristy destinations that you're gonna hit up on your road? You're just like gonna, if you run into a giant rubber band ball or something, you're just gonna, go with
I've seen the biggest rubber band ball. It's pretty cool, I gotta say. Yeah, we'll do that. Like we see something we want to pull over and have a look. We always do that when we're on the road. This is more of a, we want to get there to just see. I've never been to that state. We've talked about maybe relocating there, at some point, and I've just never seen it. And I'm like, let's go have a look. I have a couple of friends that live out there, one of which was a lady I used to play open stage with when I was a musician. And she is still playing and making a living in Nashville as a musician. And she's such a goddess. And I love her. And I've already reached out to her and we're going to get a beer together. But we're going to go see a few cities and just kind of whatever catches our fancy. Really.
Nashville is fun. Nashville is it's a good time. It's a good city. There's lots of cool stuff to see. But I remember, like, I once did a road trip with a friend of mine through that kind of through that area. We went through like a lot of like backwoods, like rural places.
Ooh,
and I had this like really distinct memory of like we were driving on some like back like road or something, and there was just this giant field. And I swear to God, in the middle of the field, there was a Ghostbusters car. Like a legitimate, like someone had made a Ghostbusters car that looked exactly like the one from the original movie. It was just sitting out in the middle. I remember being like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. That was, I think it was a hearse, wasn't it? That they repurposed. Yeah. Like, oh, I love that. Last time I drove through backwoods, I actually saw a UFO in a field. And it's the only time I've ever seen a ship.
A real one?
Yeah, it was on the ground and the lights were just flash, all different colored lights. It wasn't a harvester. It wasn't a water sprinkler system. It was just, I saw the lights rotating and flipping through the trees as we were approaching it. And I'm like, I didn't want to take my eyes off the road. It was dead in the middle of the night, 1 a.m. I'm driving to New Jersey with my mom. And I'm like, is that what I think it is? No way. And I almost stopped. I was too scared.
If you see a UFO, you fucking stop. Like, what is wrong with you?
I know now. I know if that happened again, I'd be like,
what the fuck?
Is that what I think? It has really cool, pretty colored lights too. It wasn't like your normal. It was just really pretty. Yeah, multicolored, just flipping around.
Jennifer is so used to alien things and spiritual things. She drives by a fucking UFO and it's no big deal. Like, what the hell?
I was not as evolved. That was like 25 years ago. I was not as evolved as I am now, and I was terrified. And I was making excuses in my head because it was one of those roads that didn't have a shoulder. Just had the 2 lanes and just rows of trees.
You probably saved yourself from being abducted or something. That's like that's a story. That's like an alien abduction story right there.
Yeah, maybe we were abducted.
You just didn't know it.
Oh yeah, we're just put right back in the same place.
True. All right. Well, I think that's the perfect note to end the episode on, the almost accidental alien I feel like there's some sort of like sex story that you can write in
Oh, speaking of, Alien Bond is coming out on Monday. Or actually, Sunday, the 1st of September.
Jennifer is releasing a smutty alien story.
I am. I'm getting some great feedback on it already, and I'm looking forward to sharing that little bit of it was an experimental piece. But I have the werewolves coming out next, and then I've got a vampire one lined up after that.
You know what?
And then I'll get back to my Greek myths.
I want to start writing erotic fiction. I want to quit everything and just start writing erotic fiction. I think it's a really good idea. Nothing can go wrong with this plan.
No, it's really fun and it's great for your marriage.
Well, I'll let Victor know. Be like, Victor, congratulations, no more socialism. We're just having sex now.
Fill the world with love.
It'll be like, happy birthday. Yeah. All right. Well, Jennifer, have a great trip, and we will see you when you get back. And thank you for another great show, and it was awesome, and I appreciate you. And
thank you.
Thank everyone who joined us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that's all we have for tonight. So take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.